Welcome back, everybody. JMac is in the metaphorical building.
We're
We're
here.
here. We're talking music, but also movies, because that's what we do. We've got this new album from Lady Gaga titled Harlequin, companion piece to the upcoming Joker Joaquin Phoenix sequel, of which she is a star, obviously. Um, pretty wild album. Like I didn't know it was coming out. I don't really follow Lady Gaga all that
Yeah.
closely. Big fan, but like I'm not super up to date on everything she's announced and all that.
Yeah.
Um but I was curious like when I saw that it came out, obviously is it a soundtrack for the movie? What's the whole situation with this? Um did you get like a good feel for what the album is? Like how it plays into
Ye-
the movie at all?
I think so. Like
Okay.
at times like it made sense.
Yeah.
But so is this are they going to use her stuff for like the album or sorry, for the movie?
Yeah, so for you and for anybody that like hasn't really looked into the album at all or whatever, um, like I said, it's kind of a companion piece to the film. So my
Mhm.
understanding is that it there's tracks on there that are part of the movie, not necessarily
Okay.
sung by her though. They're just songs from the movie that are on the soundtrack. All of these songs except two are covers. They're songs that other
Okay.
people have done originally, with the exception of Folly Ado and Happy Mistake,
Mm.
which are original songs that she wrote. I'm not sure which songs will appear in the film and which songs won't, but essentially what the album is kind of a concept based around the character that she's played. She said after she was done with the movie that she didn't really feel like she was done with the character and that there was more to
Mm.
tell from the character's perspective, and
That's
that's kind
dope.
of where this album came from. So there's songs that appear in the movie, there's covers that align with the concepts and the ideas of the character and with the movie, and then there's a couple of original songs in there that kind of tie it all together, and that's
Yeah.
essentially what we've got with the project here.
Dope.
um, Overall, Lady Gaga, how would you say you feel about her as an artist?
So I have my own thing with Lady Gaga. I'm not a huge fan of her. I really can't stand her, but I will say I respect um her range as a vocalist. I think she has an incredible range. There's just it's more so not the artist, more so the person that
Mm-hmm.
I don't really vibe with. But her as an artist, she got some bangers. I don't tend to listen to her really ever. Like
Sure.
this is probably the first time I've listened to Gaga in years. Besides that one track where her and Bruno are on together.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's
Okay.
cool, I
Okay.
guess, when it
Yeah.
comes
Not
to
not necessarily
vocals.
for you. I
Right.
I have a lot of respect for her as an artist. There's aspects of her that I'm a big fan of.
Mm.
When it comes to that 2010s pop era, to me, her and Katy Perry were just far and away better than everybody, pretty much that was making pop music at that point. Um, there's definitely like albums and songs from her that I don't really care for personally. A lot of it that isn't necessarily up my avenue. But kind of like you're saying, I have a lot of respect for her range and her artistic ability from like her Vegas jazz residency, to all of the stuff that she's done with Tony Bennett over the years. Lots of cool stuff that I think she's really, really talented and good at. Um, and
Yeah.
definitely songs of hers that I think are classics that are songs that I'm a big fan of. Um, but I was pretty curious to see what she was going to come up with in this project.
Yeah.
And starting off diving into production, we get a pretty big variety in here. There's a lot of like jazzy show tunes, bluesy kind of stuff, but there's also a lot of like orchestral stuff, a lot of rock stuff, a lot of synthetic stuff. It's a big variety hodgepodge that's all of her ranges of her talent, first of all. Like,
Yeah.
all things that she's shown she's pretty good at, which I was, you know, impressed that she was able to pull it all together. But to me, it almost
Right.
felt like this kind of glitzy, glamorous, like schizophrenic flow of sounds gives kind of a glimpse into the organized chaos of Harley Quinn's and Joker's minds, right?
Yeah.
Like, on the surface, both of those characters are like just crazy psychotic, but the more you figure out about them, it's like the whole thing where in The Dark Knight, for example, where Joker's like, do I really look like a guy with a plan? And yet has this like elaborate plan throughout the whole thing. Like,
Yeah.
on the surface, he's just this crazy guy doing whatever comes to his mind. But
Right.
really, he's like this puppet master pulling all these strings. And so to
Yeah.
me, it was kind of like a little glimpse into her mind as the character and into the tone of the film, sound wise, as to how the movie's going to feel and how the character kind of, I don't know, a look into their thoughts and how their brain works. Like, it's all this chaos, yeah, but it's very organized and intriguing and deep. So I did give the production a 7.
Yeah, I basically was gonna say everything that you did. I think it's first of all, I think it's cool that they chose Lady Gaga to play Harley Quinn. I think just the way that I don't want to say she holds herself as a crazy person, but more so like you see her at like these events like the Met Gala and like all of these different events and she's dressed insanely.
Yeah, she's definitely got an
Um,
element of showmanship, just like
right.
for the theatrics and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it was really cool that they chose her to play Harley Quinn, and I do agree. I think with how diverse the production is, and how well it's like pulled off too. It's not like it. At no point does it feel sloppy. At times it like the only reason I would dock this is it gets a little bit repetitive just at like small moments here and there, but other than that, pulled it off very smoothly, very cleanly. I ended up giving it an 8.
Okay,
I thought it was really
very
cool.
nice. Moving into the vocal section here, this is where I gave her an 8 on this one. To me, it shows that she's not only an expert in like creating these hit, catchy songs that most people know her for, like Poker Face and all these like things where you can just, immediately when you say that, the tone of the song, the beat, you know her vocals, the hook, like all those things off bat. But she shows on this album that she's actually just a wildly talented vocalist. Like, she hits crazy ranges. She goes through a variety of genres, and she does it all very, very well. There are some moments where I felt not like it was lazy, but where it just wasn't very well. It was almost like she lost her voice at times, and she kind of talks about that being part of the experience in an interview that I watched with her about the album. But to me, it didn't really fit with the rest of it. It was like, if you're going to kind of do this raspy, broken thing throughout it to be part of the character, that's one thing. But it was like, all of it was very well done. And then occasionally you just get like some moments where it was like, not the best, but very good overall.
Yeah. So I ended up giving her a 9 because I did forget, like I said, it's been a while since I've heard Gaga. And so it kind of just was shocking to see her with this such broad range, and being able to nail just about everything. Like you said, I think the biggest part where I can continually imagine in this album is on the Joker. That's where that like raspiness kind of comes in, and it's like, some people love it. It is what it is. Just not, that's not for me. But yeah, I just kind of forgot that she's kind of good at this whole vocals thing.
Like when you think to her career, that's not like the first thing that comes to mind as her forte, right? Like, at least for me, when the general music listener thinks of Lady Gaga, you're not going to be like, she belts, like, she's this crazy vocalist. But no, she can do it. So
yeah, she's good.
Um, moving into the lyrics now, with most of the songs being covers, the strength of the lyrics here for me lies in the ability to curate the songs in a way that tells a story, and how they're aligned, um, along with kind of the swapping of classic lyrics here and there. I don't know if you like, you kind of have to be looking for them, and sometimes you can pick them out just because you're like, whoa, that doesn't fit. But there's
Yeah.
moments where she'll swap like a lyric of a classic song where it's like kind of something like sweetheartish, like, oh, we're in love or whatever. And she makes it kind of
Yeah.
this like twisted, quirky, spooky line, and you're like, whoa, what the heck was that? I thought that was cool. It kind of played into the like relationship of Harley Quinn and the Joker. And then the two original songs, I did feel like kind of tied the album together very well in how they were written. Both of those songs, I like them a lot, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But ultimately, I gave the lyrics a 7. I do feel like maybe some more unique writing could have helped develop the story and the personality of the
Yeah.
character a little bit more. But overall, I thought it was really well executed. It was a fun way to go about it, with just like using songs to tell a story and then interjecting moments here and there of like, this is,
Mhm.
pieces of the character's mind.
Yeah. See, so before knowing that most of these songs, or basically all of these songs, are covers, um, I just kind of thought like, whatever. I don't ever. It's Lady Gaga. I'm not looking for a deeper meaning than what it is. On top of that, like kind of what you were saying, it's kind of fitting for this story of this character. And you get, at least for me, I was able to visualize like how it would kind of play in a movie setting and like with this character, and so that was pretty cool. Um, I don't really know if this kind of would only be for the lyrics, but like I do wish there were a couple more original songs instead of mostly just covers. Cause you said Happy Mistakes and what was the other
All you
one?
do.
Both are
Yeah,
solid
very good.
songs. So I like knowing she has the ability to still fit the theme of the character and still make a solid song. Kind of wish she would have put more into the album with her stuff. But I ended up giving it a 7. So
Yeah, I'll agree with you very much. So I think, especially considering it's only a 41-minute runtime, I would take
right,
10 more minutes of songs if it was more original stuff to kind of develop that story a little bit more.
yeah,
But in talking about the story and concept, this like really is what drew me to the album, and I think what drew us to the episode in the first place. It was like, whoa, crazy idea for an
yeah,
album, might be super interesting. And I do think it's a brilliant idea. Where it succeeds is it pulls you into the character's mind, and I've said that a lot, but that's really the best way to describe it for me, because it just feels like you're being transported to their world. You're seeing things from their perspective. You're getting a sense of their emotions on all of that kind of stuff. Um, Really, where it falters to me is it just doesn't add too much depth or complexity to the character. You do get some, especially on like Happy Mistakes. You get kind of this insight into the true depth of the character, which was really the
hmm
compelling point of the first Joker movie. A lot of times the Joker isn't given much story in a Batman film, and that's very
yeah,
intentional. But what the Joker movie did was like, it adds this layer of like complexity to the character and helps you to understand why they come across so deranged. And you get just
yeah,
another hint of that on a couple songs here, but I wish there was a little bit more, because she kind of hints that there is that depth, but we really don't get too much of it. So I gave
yeah,
the concept an 8. Overall, it was really cool. It did kind of put you in a different world all of a sudden, like you were watching a movie, or like you were part of, her headscape or whatever. But I do
yeah,
wish it would have been a little bit better.
yeah. So I ended up giving it a 7. One, because I wasn't sure if this was like going to be a majority within the movie or what this actually was. Knowing that there will be some of these songs within the movie, I still want to, because I'll see the
Hmm.
movie. Um, I want to see how they kind of implement these songs and how well it fits. Because this is it's supposed to be a musical, right? It's a
Yeah.
musical.
Hmm.
That's so weird still. So I just want to see how it all kind of fits together. So the concept could go up for me. But other than that, I agree with everything you said. So
Yeah. Moving into our next category here, talking about the features or lack thereof on this project. I really don't have a whole lot to say on this. I did give it a 9 because there's really not much place for a feature. Musically, in terms of the sound, it could have used like a cool variety. There is a lot of like Lady Gaga moments, a lot of show tune moments, and it would have been cool to hear somebody else included on that. But story wise, I just don't think a feature fits. I don't really think it would have added very much, especially considering
yeah,
your real best bet is to put Joaquin Phoenix on there somewhere. Um, but I do feel like while that's probably the majority of what we're going to be getting in the movie is a lot of Joaquin Phoenix perspective and a good amount of Lady Gaga perspective. It was cool to hear something that was just all from Harley Quinn's perspective on the take of the film. So
yeah, yeah. I ended up giving it an 8. She did great doing it all by herself. It didn't really feel like it needed somebody else, but at the same time, and this is just because it's me, because I just recently heard her and Bruno together and I loved how they sounded together, kind of makes me want to hear like maybe at least like one like chorus harmony,
yeah,
like little collaborative action in there.
yeah.
But overall it's not like it was dying for it, like it really needed a switch up,
Yeah.
anything like that. So I think overall she killed
For
it.
sure. And you know, I also was reading that while she was working on this, the same recording sessions were also being used to record her next solo album,
Oh
which obviously isn't tied to the character or the movie at all. So you know, there's definitely room for like a pretty soon release of an album with those kinds of elements. So that was another reason
yeah,
that I wasn't like super, you know, heartbroken that we didn't get
right,
anything else. Moving into the replay and enjoyment here, this is where it takes a decent shot from me. It's down at a 4. Really, it's just not an album that I'll listen to a whole lot. There's tracks I'll come back to, and I'll say for sure, subject to change. I'm not going to like say that it's not going to make an end of the year list even for me because it is one that
yeah,
I like. I liked the first time I listened to it, and then I liked it more the second time I listened to it. And the highs were great. It was cool to hear her do something altogether on an album that was different from what I've heard her do on albums previously. So I did really like it. Definitely subject to change, but really just not like my sound per se. Like I really don't come to those kinds of show tunes or that kind of stuff a whole lot.
yeah.
So yeah.
That's valid. I mean, I do have it. Oh, my fault. That was a little loud. Um, I do have it a little bit lower than everything else. I do have it at a 6. Um, I do really enjoy the jazz
Yeah.
instrumentation and like these kind of slow off intros that turn into these more so musical numbers. Like I enjoy
Yeah.
that. It's not an all the time thing, but I do enjoy that
Hmm.
kind of sound every once in a while.
Right.
Um, there, when it comes to replay value, there wasn't really anything that I was like, I'm gonna listen to this. Um, like there wasn't one song that I downloaded. I listened to the album 3 times. Like it was cool, but um, there's just kind of like what you're saying. There's just not really a whole lot of replay value. So
Yeah, for sure. Overall, for me, it comes out to a 7.2 out of 10. That does feel about where it's sitting for me. Like I said, it could age a little bit better in terms of how I enjoy it and end up making like an end of the year list. But overall, not necessarily like my favorite listen so far this year,
Yeah.
but definitely a cool direction for her.
Yeah. Mine came out to 7.5. Not mad with where that's at. And definitely didn't think I was going to enjoy it in the slightest, honestly. So to come out and enjoy it, it's a win for me. So
Absolutely. Moving into the best, worst, and most underrated tracks here. For me, the best was either Happy Mistake. I thought was very well written, very well executed. It's a very beautiful song. And then just for me personally, my pick was The Joker. I really love the rendition she did with it. That is a little more my style of music.
yeah.
So that's a big part of it for me. Worst, I didn't really have like a major gripe with either of these, but Gonna Build a Mountain and Close to You just felt like ideas and tones that were rehashed from earlier in the album that I thought were better done. So just weren't my favorite listens. And then most underrated was Folly Ado. I really liked the way that one was executed. I did like the writing a lot, and I thought it added a lot of cool depth. So that was those for me.
Interesting. With best, I also have Happy Mistakes. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. Like that might be the only one that, like, if I were to download one and actually listen to it, it'd probably be that one. I also really liked That's Life.
Yeah.
Thought that was a really good one.
Yeah.
Um, I, I was also kind of like, I don't think it's like bad. It just felt very repetitive. But for me, the worst is That's Entertainment. Literally nothing other than that.
Yeah.
It's not even a bad song. Just not for me.
Right.
Underrated is where I put Close to You. I at least like that one quite a bit. So, but
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, definitely not a bad song by
right,
any stretch. But overall, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a
absolutely.
cool idea just to hear it come out and to give it a listen. I was impressed with how it was executed overall. Not the direction or tone that I thought it was going to go,
Right.
but definitely thought it was cool. When you when you open an album with that, with like when you read what the album is, it's like based on like a concept album based on Harley Quinn's character from the new Joker movie, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you open with like this jazz instrumental upbeat show tune rendition of Good Morning. You're like,
Good
what the
morning. Good
heck are we
morning.
doing here? But it was cool. I
Yeah.
really liked it. So overall, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, bro. When when that first song did it, I had to stop for a second, just kind of like look around. I'm just like, what's going on? What's actually happening?
Exactly.
But like my shoulders were moving around. Like I was low key vibing. I was like, wow, this is kind of
Yeah,
nice. Not
for
what I
sure.
expected. So
Yeah,
thank you, Lady Gaga,
wild.
for good music.
Right. Well, with that, we'll probably wrap this one up unless you have any final thoughts for us.
uh, guess I don't hate her as much.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's
you know,
cool.
maybe we'll hear more good stuff in the future.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Peace out.
See ya.